नमो ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथावितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदां सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशकारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौतुषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधकान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौरङ्गी राधवृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण। Welcome everyone. We are studying Nectar of Instruction. We'll start discussion on shloka number 2 today. प्रत्याहारः प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रहः जनसङ्गश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति अत्याहारः प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रहः जनसङ्गश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following six activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and being greedy for mundane achievements. Atyaharaha is the first one, Prayashaha is the second one, hmm? Prajalpa is the third one, Niyam Agraha or Niyam Agraha is the fourth one, Janasangas is the fifth one, and Lolium is the sixth one. Hmm. So these six qualities, they make it more difficult to control the six impulses mentioned in the previous text. Hmm. Now, these six qualities are associated with the lifestyle of a person, the thinking pattern of a person, the attitude of a person, the upbringing of the person, hmm, all that. What is the desire and the goal of that person? What does that person want in life? So, for those who are materialistic people, they will have all the six qualities in abundance. They will have all these things in them. But those who want to be Krishna conscious, they have to avoid these six qualities because they are Obstacles on the path of bhakti. Mm, Obstacles on the path of bhakti. So Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, starts writing the purport on this text, explaining about the importance of human form of life. Now, why he does that? Because until unless I understand the importance of human form of life, why would I take these topics seriously? I won't. Until unless I would know the goal of human form of life, why would I have any interest in talking about these subject matters or listening to these subject matters? Hmm. So that's why he's talking about human form of life. And he wants to, you know, he wants to hammer upon the point that life should be simple, plain, and our thinking should be very high, elevated. In the modern times, people are interested in living a very luxurious life. Whole day goes on planning about eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But they don't have thoughts beyond this physical realm or mental realm. So Prabhupada, that's why he first of all brings us to understand how it's important to value the human form of life and focus more on plain living and high thinking. Mm, Right? So that's how he begins the purpose. Human life is meant for plain living and high thinking. Since all conditioned living beings are under the control of the Lord's third energy, this material world is designed so that one is obliged to work. What is the third energy he's talking about here? The material potency, Bahiranga Shakti. Hmm? Antaranga Shakti, Tatastha Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti. So he's talking about the third, Bahiranga. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has primary three energies or potencies. The first is called Antaranga or the internal potency. The second is called Tatastha Shakti, the marginal potency. And the third is called Bahiranga Shakti, the external potency. The living entities constitute the marginal potency, and they are situated between the internal and external potencies. Being subordinate as eternal servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Jiva Atmas or atomic living entities must remain under the control of either the internal or external potency. Means the Jivas can never be completely free. The Jiva has to be under the control of either of these potencies. When they are under the control of the internal potency, they display their natural constitutional activity, namely constant engagement in the devotional service of the Lord. This is stated in Bhagavad-gita 9.13. Mahatma nastumam partha devim prakriti marshitaha bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim apyayam. O son of Pita, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Okay, next paragraph. Someone please read. Yes, Mukta Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam. The word Mahatma refers to those who are broad-minded, not cripple-minded. Cripple-minded persons always engaged in satisfying their senses, sometimes expand their activities in order to do good for others through some ism like nationalism, humanitarianism, or altruism. They may reject personal sense gratification for sense gratification of others, like the members of their family, community, or society, either national or international. Actually, all this is extended sense gratification from personal to communal to social. This may all be very good from the material point of view, but such activities have no spiritual value. The basis of such activities Such activity is sense gratification, either personal or extended. Only when a person gratifies the senses of the Supreme Lord can he be called a Mahatma or broad-minded person. Hare Krishna.
Next paragraph, Ashok Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. In the above quoted verse from Bhagavad-gita, the words Devam Prakratim refers to the control of the internal potency or pressure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This pressure potency is manifested as Srimati Radharani or her expansion Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. When the individual jiva souls are under the control of the internal energy, their only engagement is the satisfaction of Krishna or Vishnu. This is the position of a Mahatma. If one is not a Mahatma, he is a Duratma or a cripple-minded person. Such mentally crippled Duratmas are put under the control of the Lord's external potency, Mahamaya. Hare Krishna.
Rashmi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Indeed, all living entities within this material world are under the control of Mahamaya, whose business is to subject them to influence the threefold mysteries. Adhidaivika klesha, suffering caused by the demigods such as droughts, earthquakes, and storms. Adhibhautika klesha, suffering caused by the other living entities like insects and enemies, and adhyatmika klesha, suffering caused by one's own body, mind, such as mental and physical informations. Daiva bhutatmaka hetavaha, the conditioned souls. Just a moment, Prabhuji, I'm just removing this. The conditioned soul subject to these three miseries by the control of the external energy suffer various difficulties. The main problem confronting the conditioned soul is the repetition of birth, old age, disease, and death. In the material world, one has to work for the maintenance of the body and soul. But how can one perform such work in a way that is favorable for the execution of Krishna consciousness? Everyone requires possessions such as food grains, clothing, money, and other things necessary for the maintenance of the body. But one should not collect more than necessary for his actual basic needs. This is natural principle is followed. If this natural principle is followed, there will be no difficulty in maintaining the body. Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Sujata Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. According to nature's arrangement, living entities lower on the evolutionary scale do not eat or collect more than necessary. Consequently, in the animal kingdom, there is generally no economic problem or scarcity of necessities. If a bag of rice is placed in a public place, birds will come to eat a few grains and go away. But a human being, however, will take away the whole bag. He will eat all his stomach can hold and then try to keep the rest in storage. According to scriptures, this collecting of more than necessary atiyara is prohibited. Now the entire world is suffering because of it.
Hare Krishna. Yes. So Srila Prabhupada began the purport in the note of simple living, high thinking. So he's explaining how atyahar, or collecting more than necessary, is against the principle of simple life. We have basic necessities. We need food, we need clothes, we need a place to stay, we need money, we need other things for survival. But then to just keep on accumulating such things in huge quantities without considering that do I actually need them or am I encroaching upon others' quota? You know? So that is against the principle of simple living. Atyahara. Now, how does it affect our devotional life? It affects our devotional life. Why? Because if you want to collect more than necessary, we have to engage our mind and senses in those activities for over collection, which means waste of time. Second thing, by doing that, since I'm encroaching upon another living entity's quota, I'm creating a sort of violence. I'm giving anxiety to others, hmm, which is again something harmful for my own devotional service. So that's why Atyahara is to be not entertained. We have to maintain our bodies, no doubt about it, but we should do it in a way that we have a lot of time left for self-realization. Mhm. So that's why Atyahara should be not entertained. Next paragraph, Monish.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandavat Pranam. According to the nature's arrangement, living entities lower on the evolutionary scale do not eat or collect more than necessary. Consequently, in the animal kingdom, there is generally no economic problem or scarcity of necessities. In a bag of rice is placed, if a bag of rice is placed in a public place,
We read that.
birds
Next paragraph, please.
oh, collecting and eating more than necessary also cause prayas or unnecessary endeavor. By God's arrangement, anyone in any part of the world can live very peacefully if he has some land and a milk cow. There is no need for man to move from one place to another to earn a livelihood. For one can produce food grains locally and get milk from cows. That can solve all economic problems. Fortunately, man has been giving higher intelligence for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness or understanding of God's one's relationship with Him and the ultimate goal of life, love of God. Unfortunately, so called civilized man, not caring for God's realization, utilize his intelligence to get more than necessary and simply eats to eats to satisfy the tongue. By God's uh,
Here,
okay, but God's uh, by God's arrangement, there is sufficient scope for the production of milk and grains for human beings all over the world. But instead of using their higher intelligence to cultivate God consciousness, so-called intelligent men misuse their intelligence to produce many unnecessary and unwanted things. Thus, factories, slaughterhouse, brothels, and liquor shops are open. If people are advised not to collect too many goods, eat too much, or work unnecessary to possess artificial amenities, they think they are being advised to return to a primitive way of life. Generally, people do not like to accept plain living and high thinking. That is their unfortunate position. Hare Krishna.
yes. Hmm. Next paragraph. Human life is meant for God realization, and the human beings is given higher intelligence for this purpose. Those who believe that this higher intelligence is meant to attain a higher state should follow the instructions of the Vedic literatures. By taking such instructions from higher authorities, one can actually become situated in perfect knowledge and give real meaning to life. Yes. Sonika Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandavat Pranam. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Suta Goswami described the proper human dharma in this way. Dharmasya hai apavar gyasya nartho rathayappa kalpate narthasya dharma kantasya kamo labha labhaya he smartah. All occupational engagement dharma are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, one who is engaged in ultimate occupational service, dharma, should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification.
Thank you. Sujata Madhusudana.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The first step in human civilization consists of occupational engagements performed according to the scriptural injunctions. The higher intelligence of a human being should be trained to understand basic dharma. In human society, there are various religious conceptions characterized as Hindu, Christian, Hebrew, Mohammedan, Buddhist, and so on. For without religion, human society is no better than animal society. Can I continue, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
As stated above, dharmasya hi apavargasya nartho arthayopa kalpate. Religion is meant for attaining emancipation, not for getting bread. Sometimes human society manufactures a system of so-called religion aimed at material advancement. But that is far from the purpose of true dharma. Religion entails understanding the laws of God because the proper execution of these laws ultimately leads one out of material entanglement. That is the true purpose of religion. Unfortunately, people accept religion for material prosperity because of atyara or an excessive desire for such prosperity. True religion, however, instructs people to be satisfied with the bare necessities of life while cultivating Krishna consciousness. Even though we require economic development, true religion allows it only for supplying the bare necessities of material existence. Jivasya tattva jignasa. The real purpose of life is to inquire about the absolute truth. If our endeavor, that is prayasa, is not to inquire about the absolute truth, we will simply increase our endeavor to satisfy our artificial needs. A spiritual aspirant should avoid mundane endeavor. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Prayas means endeavor, putting efforts. Everyone in this world puts efforts to get something at some time. And we can see prayas and atyahara related. If we have too much of hankering for material things, then we'll have too much of endeavor put to get those things. And when we get those things, because we work so hard to get them, then we'll also keep on accumulating them because I worked hard to get it. So it's mine. So over hankering leads to over endeavoring, leads to over collecting. Right? That's how it's interconnected. So that's why, how do we stop it? Where do we stop it? We stop it at the point of hankering, not desiring more than required. When you stop it at the level of stage of hankering, then the next two things will not happen. They won't be over endeavor. And if there is no endeavor, over endeavor, you are not going to get it also too much. I mean, if you get more than what you desired, then you can consider that as your karma, that Krishna is giving because it's your karma. You don't want it, it's just coming to you. But you'll not be putting conscious efforts to get it. So that's how we have to treat our mind. Not hankering too much. If you don't hanker too much, you'll not put too much of efforts to get it. And then whatever we get then, by putting minimum efforts, we have to accept it as our karma and be happy with it. So there won't be over collection then. Mm. So in this way, Prabhupada says people can live peacefully in the world. Right. Um, Srila very nicely explains this whole section. He let's look at the slides for some time. We get some instructions from there, some points. So this verse talks about the 6 qualities unfavorable to bhakti. Prabhupada begins with petty thinking, which means just wanting more and more and more. He talks about 3 energies. Jivatma, when controlled by the internal energy, is called Mahatma. When controlled by the external energy, is called Duratma. One should be under the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. And the definition of Mahatma is one who gratifies the senses of the Lord under the internal or Haladini potency. Generally, people who are under the external potency, they engage in 2 kinds of activities: personal sense gratification or extended sense gratification. You sufferings being under Mahamaya. So these are the sufferings that we go through, and now we have to work to make the body function, but in a way so that we can also be Krishna conscious through our activities. So how not to do? We should not do atyahara, which means unnecessary eating or accumulating. If you happen to get more than what you need or what you desire, what is the best practice? Start giving it away. Ati ahara. Ati means too much or unnecessary. Aharam does not just mean eating, it also means to enjoy. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that for the tongue, food is ahar. For the eyes, different kinds of forms are ahar. For the ears, sound is ahar. For the skin, touch is ahar. So for our different senses, different things are foods. So when it says atyahara, it doesn't just mean overeating. It also means seeing things which are not to be seen, hearing things which are not to be heard, or hearing them too much, or seeing them too much. Which means none of the senses should be entertained more than required. That's the point. Atyahara. Too much of anything. It's not good for one's Krishna consciousness. Ahara means to enjoy. So then he gives example of animals. Even animals do not hold. So why should humans? Now, for this instruction will not apply same to all kinds of humans or devotees. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that for sannyasi and brahmachari, they need not accumulate anything for themselves. For seva to Krishna, yes, they may accumulate, but for themselves, they will not. And a grihastha, because a grihastha has to maintain a family, there are a lot of people depending on him. A grihastha needs to accumulate just sufficient for the sake of maintenance. Right? But these days in Kali Yuga, Srila Bhakti-sastri Thakur also says that even a sannyasi, if he doesn't have money, he cannot preach. Right? So in Kali Yuga, even sannyasis have to stock so as to facilitate seva to Krishna. In the previous days, a sadhu would not need a train ticket to travel. People would just give a seat. Okay, sadhu has come, you sit and take our seat and go to this place, no problem. But because such mentality is gone now, so for practical reasons, even sannyasis may have to collect and use in Krishna seva. Right? Is it? That might be there. Like Srila Prabhupada. Wherever he went, in whichever temple he stayed, he had his room, he had his quarters. So if you consider an ordinary person may have 1 house, 2 houses, 4 houses. But Srila Prabhupada had how many houses? As many temples, that many houses. Isn't it? So that is, but then still at the same time, it's not same as other person's attachment, because he was just moving from one place to another, using it and leaving it behind. So that kind of attitude should be there. Solution to atyahar is yuktahar, regulated enjoyment. Accepting sense gratification, but not in the mood of enjoyment, in the mood of service. And accept sense objects as Krishna's mercy. Hmm? So when it becomes ati ahar, when we accept anything that we accept as an object of enjoyment, but when we accept things as an object of seva, or we accept things as responsibilities, then it's not called ati ahar. Then it's like, I want to serve, I want to give. Hmm? So then it's not considered wrong. Then it becomes seva. So when we accept sense objects as Krishna's mercy, that it will help me, facilitate me serve Krishna, then it's very nicely termed as Yukta Vairagya. Okay. Prayas, hard endeavor which is unfavorable to bhakti. Now, what does Prabhupada say? He says in the purport, little land and one milk giving cow is sufficient. For what? For maintaining your life. It may sound very weird to us. How is it possible? But actually, it has been proven that 1 acre of land is sufficient. 1 acre of land and one cow is sufficient to take care of an entire family. This has been practically done by people, especially during the COVID times. So 1 acre of land can have your house, it can have a cow shed, it can have a farming land, vegetables, crops, fruits, flowers, everything can be grown. You can have a well, you can have everything. You can have a cow grazing area, so many things. Just 1 acre of land. It was actually proven that 1 acre of land, when taken care of nicely, can bring you an income of 1 lakh per month, which is not a small amount. You live in that land, you have your house there, you have a cow there, and still you can make 1 lakh per month. Not a bad deal at all, right? Isn't it? And you get your own flowers, fruits, crops, you get fresh water from the well. So such things are actually given by the nature, and it is possible. But our society has gone ahead in a wrong direction. And people are, that's why, involved in working like donkeys in wrong sense to just make their bread and butter. Hmm? So Prabhupada gives examples. Misuse of human intelligence. How? Factories. 2019 statistics. 12.8 million workers in India work in factories, slaughterhouses. More than 1250 legal slaughterhouses in India. Now, think about illegal prostitution. 3 to 10 million prostitutes in India. That also is like a recorded one. What to speak of? Not recorded, not registered. Beer shops. 5-liter beer consumption in India in 2020. So, and India is the second largest world exporter of meat products. Such things are going on because of all this politics. Once I was giving a talk to a group of students in IIT Roorkee. They had assembled for a camp outside the institute. So, I just gave them a task. Compare the advantages and disadvantages of using a motor car or a bullock cart. Mhm. So now look at the advantages of a motor car. What is one advantage? The only advantage is that maybe you can reach very fast to your destination, but that also when there's no traffic. Otherwise, no, right? And other disadvantages, just for one motor car, your one motor car, you need a rubber industry, you need an iron industry, you need an oil refinery, you need a glass industry, you need a plastic industry, right? So much of pollution, so many accidents, unemployment, unnecessary endeavor, just for one car, right? But for a bullock cart, you don't need any of these industries. And you never read any newspaper article that 2 bullock carts crashed, 10 people dead. No, right? No such news. Mm. But here, yes, car accident, so many people died, right? So then Prabhupada explains wealth is whose and how to use it. All the wealth belongs to Krishna. Taking more than necessary is theft, and punishable by nature. So keep Krishna in the center, that increases the service attitude. Isha Vasimidam Sarvam Shlokami, all of them. So three types of thinking. Bhogi, everything is for me. Tyagi, everything is useless. Bhakta, everything is Krishna's, should be accepted in required amount as Krishna's mercy. And you get extra, pass it on. Give it away. Right? Just pass it on. Next topic. Okay. Prajalpa. Prajalpa is a major impediment in devotional service. Over talking. Yes, or unnecessary talk. Sujata Mataji, you want to read? Dialogue Govind Prabhu also had your hand up, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Hmm.
Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat. Another impediment is prajalpa, unnecessary talking. When we mix with a few friends, we immediately begin unnecessary talking, sounding just like croaking toads. If we must talk, we should talk about Krishna conscious movement. Those outside of the Krishna consciousness movement are interested in reading heaps of newspapers, magazines, and novels, solving crossword puzzles, and doing many other nonsensical things. In this fashion, people simply waste their valuable time and energy. In the Western countries, old men, retired from active life, play cards, fish, watch television, and debate about useless socio-political schemes. All these other frivolous activities are included in the Prajalpa category. Intelligent persons interested in Krishna consciousness should never take in such activities. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada, you see, he is very interestingly putting different activities in the category of Prajalpa. He's not just saying talking more or talking unnecessarily. He said reading newspaper, magazines, novels, solving crossword puzzles. So all that he puts as Prajalpa. Why is putting that as Prajalpa? Because anything that's waste of time is actually Prajalpa. You may not be speaking in your, using your voice, speech organ, but the mind is being kept busy, right? Collecting information or throwing out information. So this is all Prajalpa, playing game, cards, fishing, watching television, debating, or these days playing video games, right? It's all Prajalpa. Or we can add some more things to it. What's that? Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Snapchat. All these are new versions of Prajalpa, right? So all these and other frivolous activities are in. Frivolous means we just do it for passing time, watching movies, playing cricket, or watching a cricket game, right? All this is Prajalpa. Such a sheer waste of time. Yeah, you may play a sport to keep you healthy, or you may play a sport to keep your mind fresh, but not, that should be the goal of life. All this is just such a sheer waste of time and also sheer waste of money. So that's all Prajalpa. Next, Janasanga, Sarita Bhatt.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Janasanga refers to associating with persons not interested in Krishna consciousness. One should strictly avoid such association. Srila Narottama Dasa Thakura has therefore advised us to live only in the association of Krishna consciousness devotees. Bhakta Sanevasa. One should always engage in the service of the Lord in the association of the Lord's devotees. Association with those engaged in a similar line of business is very conducive to advancement in that business. Consequently, materialistic persons form various associations and clubs to enhance their endeavors. For example, in the business world, We will find such institutions as the Stock Exchange and Chamber of Commerce. Similarly, we have established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness to give people an opportunity to associate with those who have not forgotten Krishna. This spiritual association offered by our ISKCON movement is increasing day by day. Many people from different parts of the world are joining this society to awaken their dormant Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Janasangaha. And then now Prabhupada begins to explain the whole text using the commentary of Srila Bhakti-sastri Saraswati Thakur. It is Anuvrittika. Manishru, you want to read? You have a question? What is it?
I want to read, Prabhuji, when you say.
So, reiterating the same topic. Just a second. Huh? Okay, let's start reading. Manishru.
Hare Krishna. Srila Bhakti-sastri Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anuvriti commentary that too much endeavor to acquire knowledge on the part of mental speculators or dry philosophers fall within the category of atyahara, collecting more than needed. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, the endeavor of philosophical speculators to write volumes of books on dry philosophy devoid of Krishna consciousness is entirely futile. The work of karmis who write volumes of books on economic development also falls within the category of atyahara. Similarly, those who have no desire for Krishna consciousness and who are simply interested in possessing more and more material things, either in the shape of scientific knowledge or monetary gain, all are all included under the control of Atyahara. Hare Krishna.
Next paragraph. Who else? Someone else would like to read Samiksha?
Hare Krishna. Karmas labor to accumulate more and more money for future generations only because they do not know their future position. Interested only in getting more and more money for their sons and grandsons. Such foolish persons do not even know what their position is going to be in the next life. There are many incidents that illustrate this point. Once a great karmi accumulated a vast fortune for his sons and grandsons, but later, according to his karma, he took his birth in a cobbler's house located near the building which in his previous life he had constructed for his children. It so happened that when this very cobbler came to his former house, his former sons and grandsons beat him with shoes. Unless the karmis and janis become interested in Krishna consciousness, they will simply continue to waste their life in fruitless activities.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Accepting some of the scriptural rules and regulations for immediate benefit as utilitarians advocate is called niyamagraha, and neglecting the rules and regulations of the sastras which are meant for spiritual development is called niyama agraha. The word agraha means eagerness to accept, and agraha means failure to accept. By the addition of either of these two words to the word niyama, rules and regulation, the word niyamagraha is formed. Thus, niyamagraha has a twofold meaning that is understood according to the particular combination of words. those interested in Krishna consciousness should not be eager to accept rule and regulation for economic advancement. Yet, they should be very faithfully accept scriptural rules and regulation for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. They should strictly follow the regulative principles by avoiding illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication.
So niyama means rules. So two meanings can be taken out of this combination of words. Niyam agraha and niyam agraha. When it says agraha, it means failure to accept, which means there are rules we should be following and we are neglectful of them. And agraha is eagerness to accept, which means there are rules to follow and we give them importance more than required, which means we are too much in rules only. We don't understand the meaning, the purpose, right? Like foolishly, ritualistically, just following things. So mechanically, just following rules will also not help, and whimsically neglecting the rules will also not help, right? When we whimsically neglect the rules, we don't attain the goal. When we mechanically follow the rules, then also we don't attain the goal. Mhm. So rules are there to give us a direction. That's all, to give us a discipline. So that's why it is to be followed in a balanced manner, neither getting too attached to them, nor neglecting them too much. Yeah, next paragraph. Ashok Prabhu's name.
Hare Hare Krishna. One should also avoid association with Mayavadis, who simply blaspheme Vaishnavas or devotees. Muktikamis, who are interested in material happiness. Muktikamis, who desire liberation by merging in the existence of the formless absolute, Brahman. And Siddhikamis, who desire the perfection of mystics yoga practice, are called as Atyaharis. To associate with such persons is not at all desirable. I continue.
Yeah.
Desires to expand the mind by perfecting mystic yoga, merging in the existence of Brahman, or attaining whimsical material prosperity are all included within the category of greed, laulya. All attempts to acquire such material benefits or so-called spiritual advancement are impediments on the path of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Right. Next paragraph.
Modern warfare waged between capitalists and communists is due to their avoiding the advice of Srila Rupa Goswami regarding Atyahara. Modern capitalists accumulate more wealth than necessary, and the communists, envious of their prosperity, want to nationalize all wealth and property. Unfortunately, the communists do not know how to solve the problem of wealth and its distribution. Consequently, when the wealth of the capitalists falls into the hands of the communists, no solution results. Opposed of these two philosophies, the Krishna conscious ideology states that all wealth belongs to Krishna. Thus, unless all wealth comes under the administration of Krishna, there can be no solution to the economic problem of mankind. Nothing can be solved by placing wealth in the hands of the communists or the capitalists. If $100 bill is lying on the street, someone may pick it up and put it in his pocket. Such a man is not honest. Another man may see the money and decide to let it remain there, thinking that he should not touch another's property. Although this second man does not steal the money for his own purposes, he is unaware of its proper use. The third man who sees the $100 bill may pick it up, find the man who lost it, and deliver it to him. This man does not steal the money to spend for himself, nor does he neglect it and let it lie in the street. By taking it and delivering it to the man who has lost it, this man is both honest and wise. Prabhu, should I continue?
Next paragraph. Someone else can do. Because simply transferring wealth from capitalist to communist cannot solve the problem of modern politics. But it has been demonstrated that when a communist gets money, he uses it for his own sense gratification. The wealth of the world actually belongs to Krishna, and every living entity, man and animal, has the birthright to use God's property for his maintenance. When one takes more than his maintenance requires, whether he a capitalist or a communist, he is a thief, and as such is liable to be punished by the laws of nature. Can we take a quick break for a few minutes, then we get back? Hare Krishna, welcome back. Let's start reading again. The wealth of the world should be used for the welfare of all citizens, living entities. For that is the plan of Mother Nature. Everyone has the right to live by utilizing the wealth of the Lord. When people learn the art of scientifically utilizing the Lord's property, they will no longer encroach upon another's rights. Then an ideal society can be formed. The basic principle for such a spiritual society is stated in the first mantra of Sri Isha. Ishavasya sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita makritaha kasya svithanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. Okay. Yes, someone else would like to read. Gaurav Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandat Pranam. Krishna conscious devotees know very well that this material world is designed by the complete arrangement of the Lord to fulfill all the necessities of life for all living beings, without their having to encroach upon the life of rights of one another. This complete arrangement affords the proper quota of wealth for everyone, according to his real needs, and thus everyone may live peacefully according to the principle of plain living and high thinking. Unfortunately, materialists who have neither faith in the plan of God nor any aspiration for higher spiritual development misuse their God given intelligence only to augment their material possessions. They devise many systems, such as capitalism and materialistic communism, to advance their material position. They're not interested in the laws of God or in a higher goal. Always anxious to fulfill their unlimited desires for sense gratification, they're conspicuous by their ability to exploit their fellow living beings. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Next paragraph, Mukta Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. When human society gives up these elementary faults enumerated by Srila Rupa Goswami, Atyahara, etc., all enmity will cease between men and animals, capitalists and communists, and so forth. In addition, all problems of economic and political maladjustment and the instability will be solved. This pure consciousness is awakened by the proper spiritual education and practice offered scientifically by the Krishna conscious movement. This Krishna conscious movement offers a spiritual community that can bring about a peaceful condition in the world. Every intelligent man should purify his consciousness and rid himself of the above mentioned six hindrances to the devotional service by taking wholehearted shelter of this Krishna conscious movement. Hare Krishna.
We'll discuss this topic little more. Niyamagraha. Rules, too much or too little? Both are bad. Hmm? Too much, too little. Both are bad. Right? Like you see so many people in India, they are so absorbed in following the traditional rules that when they come to Krishna consciousness, they are told, don't do all this, it's not required anymore. Still, they want to be engaged in that. Mhm. Just because it's tradition. So they want to spend their time there. Waste of time, unnecessary waste of time. Chanting of so many mantras, doing so many different kinds of vratas, going to so many different temples, doing so many different pujas. So all that is waste of time. Rules too much or too little. Both should be neglected. There are two types of rules, vidhi and nishedh. Vidhi means what to do, nishedh what not to do, do's and don'ts. So there's this verse as per Srimad Bhagavatam. Swe swe adhikare ya nishtha sa gunaha parikirtitaha viparyayastu doshaha syad ubayor esha nishchayaha. That as per your adhikar, you have your faith, your nishtha. So you should be steady in that. And that is called piety. Lord Krishna speaks to Uddhavji. And when we deviate from that, then that's called impiety. So there are two kinds of rules known as Nitya and Naimittika. We have studied these terminologies also in Bhagavad-gita. Nitya means rules forever, which is related to our soul or ourselves, the soul. What is the most important rule there? You love. And what is the most important regulation there? You do not envy. Right? Vidhi is love, Nished is envy. They are opposite to each other. So all the rules meant for spiritual development facilitate the rule of developing more and more love. And all the regulations in the scriptural arena, spiritual arena, sorry, is meant for facilitating what regulation or don't not envy, reduce your envy. Then there are rules related to the body, naimittika. So we have to also accept those rules and regulations. These are subjects to be studied. In conditional state, there are different types of rules. Still, they are principally divided into three categories. The three divisions are karma, jnana, and bhakti. So in all three paths, there are certain prohibitions and certain prescriptions. In the karma path, what is the prescription? That you follow the rules of varnashrama, do the 10 sanskars. And there are also activities which are prohibited, the sins, the bad habits. In the path of jnana, what is the rule? Sannyas, renunciation, detachment, sankhya. What is prohibition? Karma is prohibition. Sinful activities prohibition. Material enjoyment is prohibition. Sense gratification, sense enjoyment is prohibition. In the path of bhakti, what is rule? Path of bhakti is, the rules are performing activities which are favorable to devotional service. Right? And not being so much attached to the path of karma and jnana. All of activities opposed to the Lord, they should be rejected. They should not be accepted. Conclusions opposite to devotional service should be given up. Right? Like that. So this is how we understand different paths and different rules. And the purpose of all is what? Smartavya satatam vishnur vismartavyo najatuchit sarve vidhi nishedhasyur etayoreva Kinkara. Always remember Krishna. Never forget Krishna. The king of all rules is always remember Krishna. If I am always remembering Krishna, whatever rules I follow are correct. And if I never forget Krishna, whatever regulations I follow are correct. Because the purpose of all rules is this master rule. If you can remember Krishna always. The purpose of all prohibitions or regulations is the master prohibition. If you don't forget Krishna. So in this way, one has to make progress. Any relationship should be accepted in life if it helps you to remember Krishna. If it doesn't, then that relationship is not correct. If any relationship is helping us to remember Krishna forever, then that relationship should be also forever. That's why the relationship between spiritual master and disciple is for eternity. Why? Because they help each other remember Krishna. So then that relationship does not break or should not break. Similarly, any object we use in this world, if that object is being used in Krishna Seva, we should never go away from that object. Just like a japamala. We'll never go away from a japamala. We'll always keep it with us. So the purpose is what? It will help me to be connected to Krishna. If it's helping me to go away from Krishna, then it should be rejected. If it's helping me to come closer to Krishna, then it should be accepted. Accepted forever, no problem. So that's the master rule, basically. And master rule fails all other rules. All other rules become, pale in front of the master rule. If I can follow the master rule nicely, then all other rules are secondary. It doesn't matter. That's why our scriptures, like Srimad Bhagavatam says, whether you are a good brahmachari or not, doesn't matter. Whether you're a good grihastha or not, doesn't matter. Whether you're a good brahmana or not, doesn't matter. Whether you're a good husband or wife, doesn't matter. What matters is if you can remember Krishna always and not forget Krishna. If you can do that, then if you're not a good husband or wife, doesn't matter. If you're not a good Brahman or Kshatriya, it doesn't matter. Why? Because every human being will have some faults. You cannot be perfect. So while you are imperfect, but still you are trying to be perfectly Krishna conscious, Krishna will take that as perfection of life. Right? Isn't it? Otherwise, it's useless. To give you an example, Bhishma Pitama, he took a lifelong vow. I'll stay brahmachari, I'll not get married. But did he really live like a brahmachari? No. He was living in a royal palace, like a royal king, right? Isn't it? He was fighting, shooting arrows. So if you look at his life, he was not really following the life of a brahmachari, though he had accepted brahmacharya. He was involved in politics, he was involved in diplomacy, right? What kind of brahmachari goes and kidnaps girls? But he kidnapped girls for his brothers, for them to get married, right? So why would Krishna not look at such deviations in one sense? Why? Because ultimately Bhishma Pitama did everything he did for the pleasure of Krishna, to please Krishna. Always remember Krishna, not for Krishna. Even when he fought on the side of the Kauravas, he fought on the wrong side, but he did that also again to give pleasure to Krishna. The intention was, I want to please Krishna. That was the purpose. So then all the rules then get, what to say, they become pale when this rule is followed. Now, niyam agraha and agra we already discussed has two meanings: to not accept, to accept too much. So niyam agraha would mean to disobey or neglect the scriptural instructions, to not follow the instructions that nourish the creeper of devotional service due to lack of faith. Some examples like not put tilak, not wear tulsi kantimala, to not chant on beads, to not follow the principles, regular principles, to not chant 16 rounds of Maha Mantra, to eat food which is not prasadam. And niyam agra means to follow the rules and regulations just for the sake of following them for some monetary gain, material gain, to give lower level instructions more priority than higher level instructions, or to jump to higher level instructions without following the lower level instructions, and to follow the rules for the sake of the sense gratification. That's all wrong. Like generally a child does. If the mother says, you study, then I'll give you chocolate. So that's in one sense niyamagraha or niyama, that you're following the rule for the sake of some material fulfillment. So that's wrong. So bhakti, the principles of bhakti should not be followed for that reason. We'll stop here. Any questions or comments? Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, we talked about the Mahatma word, that who has to be a Mahatma. What we see Prabhupada used on his books, Mahatma Gandhi, which is not a Mahatma. Why? It's a little bit confusing to my mind that why we have to use that. Maybe just to attract other people. That's Prabhupada used to get attention for that, or what's the purpose of that to use? Even Prabhupada is mentioned in few places that actually he's not the Mahatma as it needs to be, but still we are using as Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi on our books. I don't want to say Mahatma here again.
See, there are two things. One thing is you understand the philosophy, the Siddhanta very nicely. The other thing is what is the social custom? What is being socially accepted? So because you're a part of the society and the society sees things in a particular manner, to connect to them, sometimes you have to use terminologies which they use or which they prefer, without hurting their sentiments. If everywhere Prabhupada would just address Gandhiji as MK Gandhi or Mr. Gandhi, then people would not connect to him, at least externally or socially. You know. So that's why there are two things. One is what is the reality that you understand, and the other is externally how do you present it so that the people can digest it. Prabhupada is very smart, very clever. He understands human psychology. Mhm. So, if you just be, let's say, be very strong and adamant that I don't want to use the word Mahatma for Gandhiji, then there are many people who might be foolish followers of Gandhi. They would uprightly reject Prabhupada's books. So what he does is that, okay, I also call him externally as Mahatma, no problem. But then what is a real Mahatma? He'll give the definition. Now, what will this do? Those who are intelligent, they'll understand. And those who are foolish, at least they'll not become against.
Right.
So you're playing safe. You're not making enemies.
Right. So that means the word which people use nowadays is more, they use it more in nowadays. You have to be politically correct to present the things sometimes in the
You
public.
don't have
That's
to
what I
be
will use that.
always politically correct, but it depends on audience, it depends on time, it depends on place. If let's say Prabhupada is speaking to his inner circle, he would never use the word Mahatma, he would always say Gandhi or Gandhiji, right? But if
Right.
he's speaking in a public audience where there are 20,000 people sitting, he doesn't know who is who,
Correct.
right? So if you are in front of your enemy, you have to be smart. You have to be diplomatic. So that's why that. And what's wrong if you call, let's say, Gandhiji Mahatma, just because I call him as Mahatma, I address him as Mahatma, does he really become a Mahatma? No. That reality I know, Srila Prabhupada also knows,
Mm-hmm.
right? Someone may give him that title as Mahatma and respect him as Mahatma. But Prabhupada, he might just address him as Mahatma, but not really see him as a Mahatma,
Right.
isn't
Thank you,
it?
Prabhuji. Yeah.
Mm. So that's how it is. So we have to know what is social culture. We need to accept it. Like to give you an example, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada is very much against of men and women, you know, I mean, not dressing properly. In the Western culture, they do not dress properly. So now does it mean if he's walking on the street in United States and he sees any lady not dressing properly, he just charge upon her and start shouting at her? No, right? Isn't it?
That's
No.
true.
Of course, in his class he may say so, but it's not that when he sees such a person. Rather, if he really wants to transform that person, he would never mention such thing on the first meeting. First of all, he
That's
would
true.
try to get that person attracted to something more positive. And then that person becomes little serious disciple. Then Srila Prabhupada may say, okay, now stop wearing such clothes. Right?
Hmm.
So these are strategies. That's all. Being able to know how to deal with people, psychology. Very, we should know that. Those people who speak bluntly, thinking that they are just being honest and straightforward, they don't understand that that kind of talk will only send people away. Until and unless people begin to respect you and accept you fully, you cannot really just speak bluntly to them. To some extent, it's okay, but you cannot corner them and start attacking them.
Yeah. Right. Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. I came across this situation. It's not happened with me personally. So, for the cooking seva, there are two Matajis. One comes very decently dressed, and one is very opulent, not very, but very well dressed in sari. So, one of the heads says that when we do seva for Krishna, we have to be very well dressed in silk and whatnot. But the one who's on the simpler side believes that she can be herself and yet be engaged in seva. Prabhuji, how would I understand this situation?
Why do you have to understand that situation?
Yeah, because according to the person is when we're not so very well dressed because we're servants of Krishna, then we're not happy and then we cannot serve Krishna.
See, when you observe people doing such things, first of all, we should be aware of what is right and what is wrong. Now, who is right, who is wrong, why they are doing that, that's their business, that's their problem. If you know that it's right to be dressed in a simple manner, to go and do your seva, then the other person may be dressed in a very opulent manner or whatever manner. Leave it. Why be concerned about? Only until unless that person is coming to you and asking you, should I be dressed in this way or that way? Or you are the authorities who should be deciding who should be dressed in what way. It's a very simple thing to understand. You're going to serve Krishna, so you are not going there to draw others' attention or attraction. You are going there to be available for Krishna seva. So as soon as someone dresses very opulently or one dresses in a way that one wants to show off, then you are demanding attention. If you're demanding attention, where is Krishna in the center? There's no Krishna in the center. Now, of course, you may say, I'm very happy that I'm getting a chance to serve Krishna. So that's okay. You be happy. Then you dress in a way which is, again, sober and simple. It doesn't have to be very opulent. But if still that person persists, then you accept that person the way that person is. Maybe that is that person's nature. What's the problem? As long as that person is doing the seva, no problem. If that person is doing the seva well, even if that person has this one dosha or fault, what is the problem? who is faultless. No. All right, Rashmi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. To avoid Janasangha at workplace, how to utilize the time, Prabhuji, in a
To avoid
this
Janasangha at the
workplace, the office, you're working.
workplace.
You come across many, non-devotees. So, and like one is the principle is the wearing tilka. As sometimes we can't wear the tilak.
So we should put water tilak.
Water tilak.
Yeah.
But then we are not preaching. That preaching thing is.
Huh?
Like if you wear a tilak, it's ultimately you're preaching, right, Prabhuji?
No, I'm saying you put a water tilak. Tilak is not just for the purpose of preaching. Tilak is also for sanctifying the body. That this body belongs to Krishna. It is Krishna's temple. I respect this body. I care for this body because Krishna lives in this body. Right?
Yes.
So why we take bath? Taking bath is the process of cleaning the body, keeping it clean. And why we keep it clean? Because it's for Krishna's seva. So it should be clean. So one of the angas of taking bath is putting tilak. It said that if you have not put on a tilak, actually you have not yet taken a bath. You might have put water on yourself, but you have not taken a bath if you have not put on a tilak. So if I cannot put a tilak using clay or soil or mud or earth or whatever, then I can put tilak using water.
Thank you. I was not aware of this. Thank you so much.
Second thing, people will observe you, people will see you, but what will they see? They will see the face. They'll see the tilak on the forehead. They are not going to remove our clothes and see what is put inside. Right? So now as a Vaishnava, we put tilaks at 12 parts of the body. So if you want to hide, you just hide the tilak on the forehead. You can still have tilak on in the other parts of the body. Who is going to say that or check that? And on the forehead, you put water tilak. What is the problem?
Yes. Yeah, and that Jana Sangha, how to avoid like non-devotees into your life as just.
How to avoid their association? Don't talk to them much. Just talk to them for what is required, the business purpose.
They feel we are arrogant.
No, we don't have to be harsh in our speech. We should be polite. We should be gentle. When they ask us something, we should respond. But we need not initiate a conversation uselessly. Let them call us silent person, not arrogant. Silent means one who doesn't like to talk much, who is a miser in talking.
Okay.
Let them give a comment. Usko chup rehna acha lagta hai. That's nice. Arrogance means when you are rude, when you are harsh, when you don't look at them in a respectful manner, or you give them a cunning look or a wrong look, that you are all nonsense people. So in that way. But if you're polite and gentle when they ask you a question, when they want something from you, and you do it because it's a part of your work, then it's okay. Never not say arrogant. And if someone says that, then that is that person's problem.
Okay.
We should work with them. At the same time, we should not offend them or criticize them. But we should mind our own business. That's all.
Right. Thank you, Prabhuji.
If someone asks us, why are you like this? You just say, it's my nature. I'm like this everywhere. If you start preaching to them, then they will say, oh, you're like this because you're a devotee. But if we don't preach to them or we don't show to them that I'm into Krishna consciousness to very deep levels, then they will not mind. They will just say, okay, that's that person's nature, what to do. Cholo.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
We should know one thing, that this world is full of nasty people. And nasty people don't like good people do good things. So they will always leg pull, criticize, all that. They will do. Because that's what is fun for them. That's what makes their life. They are like scorpions. I'm in a problem, you should also remain in a problem. You should not get out of it. If they see you silent, happy, jolly, gentle, then they become envious. Why are you so happy? Why are you so silent? Why are you so gentle? Why are you so nice? Why not become like me, full of anxiety, stress? So we have to avoid such people. They're envious, like scorpions. They're very, very envious. Demoniac nature, no? Demons are not happy. If you tell them, okay, become Devata, then you become happy because Vishnu will take care of it. Then they say, no, 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 we also don't want to become Devata. We'll remain demons only. It's a problem. So, Paramahansa,
Yes, Prabhu. I wanted to ask, in the first part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada was talking about simple life, talking about cows, etc. And talking about the artificial lives that most people live. Well, even in my personal case, I'm working in IT and in like technology industry, so very I'd like to say artificial kind of work. So how to progressively try to live more simple life? Should we like switch, or how to understand this simple life? How to
it has to be accepted in principle. No, many of us are not really in the position to completely go to farms and start living there. Our body will not allow it. Our psychophysical nature will not allow it. Our circumstances will not allow. But then, whatever situation I am put in by Krishna, within that situation, how I can apply this principle, that's in my hand, that how much I can simplify my life. Which means like you might be working in IT industry, no problem with that. It's okay. Or you might be having a nice house, no problem, it's okay. But within that house, how much you are accumulating, or you're keeping it simple, right? That's in your head. So like that. See your own situation, the context. And within that context, how can I apply this principle of simple living? Isn't it?
yes.
That is to be considered or understood. Like for example, in my case, I'm a very hi-fi brahmachari. In the sense, in the sense, I have so many electronic gadgets. So if you look at that, then maybe I'm not following the principle of simple living. I have all kinds of electronic gadgets, nice camera, nice microphone, nice laptop, you know, so many things. But then at the same time, in my context, I can make it more complicated if I want. Which means, instead of having a normal laptop, let me now buy the latest iMac. Yeah, right? Isn't it? Instead of my Samsung phone, let me go for the latest iPhone and all those things. So if I want, I can make it more and more, more and more and more complicated. But in my situation, for whatever seva I have, if I need something, if I just stick to it, then it is simple. right? If I take more and more, then it's wrong. Let's say I have a good camera and then suddenly I go to some country and someone comes to me and says, Coach, I'm bringing you another camera. Now, if in that situation I say, okay, bring on, no problem. I can have 2, I can have 5, I can have 10 cameras, no problem. Then that is going against the principle of simple life. You're getting it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but if I need one camera and if I'm having it, then it's okay. Or if I'm getting the second one, let me pass on my first one to someone else.
Yes.
So that way, in your context, what is simple life? You have to see, decide. It's simple,
Yeah.
man. You just have to
Yes,
be, that principle should be clear.
the principle. Yes. Prabhu.
Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, sometimes it's just few, it's like just how you see things. When you're booking a flight ticket, they charge you extra money just to give you a window seat or a special seat. So if you don't have any such need, you can save money. That's how simple. But then just because I want to sit next to the window or I want a particular seat in the front row, even if it's not needed and I pay extra money, then you're not being simple. So what is needed, what is needed, that has to be understood. Mm. At the same time, if you have a chance, let's say you're going on a flight. Recently, we flew from which place to which place? I think it was from Bahrain to Abu Dhabi. And we took this flight called Wizz Air. Interestingly, in the whole flight, there were only 12 passengers. Only 12 passengers. So I told my devotee friend who was flying with me, that you could sit in another row and in this row, on the 3 seats which are empty, I'll just sleep in them. So if such a situation is there, why not go and, sleeping in the flight? If you're sleeping there, then you're not being, oh, this person wants so much of luxury and comfort. If your situation provides you, you sleep and go, no problem. Right? At the same time, you won't pay extra money just to get the window seat. We have to know practicality also should be there. At the same time, simplicity should also be there. Right? In the name of sometimes simple living, people wear torn clothes. That's not good. Even if you're a brahmachari, should not wear torn clothes. That's not good. If you're going outside for a program, then be presentable. No? Yeah, at your house, you can wear torn clothes. No one is watching. You're cleaning, you're dusting, you're doing gardening or whatever. You wear torn clothes. It's okay. Okay.
Yes, bro.
Mhm. Fine. We'll stop here then. See you Monday. Next verse. 6 qualities favorable for